On House Judiciary Committee. And Congressman, you have said the president does have all the legal authority he needs to declare a national emergency at the border. But talk to me about the politics of doing that.
Harris, he can do it. In fact, this is not even up for debate. Very much of a Trump critic of Harvard law professor Mr. Tushnet has said this is probably as solid legal ground as you ever want to stand on. What really disturbs me is what John Roberts just said, is that people would go to the 9th District, that they found their court that basically will ignore black letter law to try and get an injunction on something. That's the most disturbing comment I've heard in the last probably 24 hours, and I've heard a lot of stuff in the last 24 hours. So when you look at this, he's on solid legal ground. This is a way to move forward, and the Democrats, Ms. Pelosi made it very clear yesterday, and I thought it was the most clairvoyant statement she's made the whole time, and it revealed her true intention. The president asked, will you support, if I opened up the government in 30 days, would you then agree to work on security in the wall? And she said no. She didn't even have the audacity to say, you know, Mr. President, that's what we've been asking for. Let's do that. She just simply pulled the shield down and said, no, we're not going to do it.
So, you know, I talked about this last hour, and I'm wondering, I also asked Kellyanne Conway with the White House about this too. Is there any way to give Democrats and call their bluff a fat yes by just stop saying the word wall? Call it a steel slat system. Call it a barrier. No, I'm serious about this, because that's what they say they have a sticking point on, but they all agree that the legislation has called for something, strong fence line or something, since Democrats passed it in 2006. So if you call it something different, call their bluff on it.
Well, they called their bluff on it last year when they voted for Homeland Security budget, and it had $1.6 billion in there for border security. The bluff's already been called, Harris. Let's just call it for what it is. This has nothing to do with wall. It has nothing to do with steel fence. They'll claim it does. This has nothing to do with that. It simply says we're now in a position where, Mr. President, we have a chance to make what we feel like a point and make you look bad. The president has said, no, we're not going to do this. And she revealed it yesterday. The most, like I said, the clearest point yesterday was they had been saying up until yesterday, Mr. President, open the government and we'll negotiate with you on border security. Guess what? Yesterday he said, okay, I'm saying exactly what you're saying, and she said no. The problem now is Ms. Pelosi undoubtedly would prefer those trying to overrun our borders to the American citizens who will not have a paycheck tomorrow. Ms. Pelosi, answer that question.
All right. I was looking down at this. The president tweeted this today. Let's pop it up on the screen. This is great unity with the Republicans in the House and Senate, despite the fake news media working in overdrive to make the story look otherwise. The opposition party and the Dems know we must have stronger border security, but don't want to give Trump, and he puts his own name in quotes, another one of many wins. You know, they can't change the fact that this is the president of the United States. This is a partial government shutdown that he said he would take the responsibility for. Is it getting heated for Democrats?
I think it will, and I think what's happening is, remember, the president's made a very clear statement. He framed the issue. When he said he would take responsibility for the shutdown, he framed the issue with the speaker and the minority leader when he said, look, if you want to put these immigrants who are trying to overrun our borders first, then I'm going to put America first. He just simply framed the issue, Harris, and I think that's what he's doing still. The pressure will continue on, especially after yesterday when she said no, after they've been saying for weeks now, here's what we'll do, get it open, and then we'll negotiate, and she said no. They revealed their true colors yesterday in this issue, so we need to actually find the way that we can get this done. It needs to happen. We do not need to have a shutdown. We need to come together, fund our border security, find a way out that would be palatable to Democrats, and open the government back up. But the president's standing firm.
Real quickly before I let you go, Congressman Collins, you know, a few months ago, Republicans stood in the way of this getting done. There was DACA on the table. There was a way to go forward. Are Republicans more yoked together now? Are they caucused together to get something through?
I think we are. I think you're seeing that last night.
What has changed?
I think just to resolve that we know that this is something that needs to get done, and this is an opportunity for us to do it. The president has drawn this line, and we're going to stand on that line. And I think right now we're seeing that happen.
Do you regret that Republicans, when they were in the majority, the House and the Senate together, couldn't give the president what he wanted?
Yes, I do. I voted for both the plans. I wanted to see something done last year. We needed to have made a stand last year, and we didn't do it. Now we're seeing the results of that. And remember, but also remember, the Senate also had a say in that as well, and the Senate was boxed out. But the House, I voted for both to try and move those forward. We do need to work on this, Harris, and I could talk to you a long time about what we can do to fix this, from Flores to asylum to those victim status, where we have a perverse incentive for people from other countries to take their own children, separate them, and send them across with coyotes and people who would do them harm. We have a perverse incentive that when they get here, that the system will not ever process them. We've got to fix that.
Well, if they pass these